Two sisters, or some might say witches, are guilty of unspeakable crimes. Little did anyone know they were performing rituals and seeking protection from the perceived supernatural entities that they believed haunted their very existence. Nestled in the enchanting neighborhood of Saavedra, in the northern part of Buenos Aires, lies a captivating world of tree-lined streets, charming old-fashioned houses, and beautiful parks that seem to whisper tales of timeless beauty. Within this serene haven lived Juan Vazquez, accompanied by his two daughters, Silvina and Gabriela. They were all mourning the death of their mother for many years now. Gabriela broke up with her boyfriend and began engaging in activities she previously hadn't, such as going out at night and experimenting with drugs. Silvina, on the other hand, became a fearful young woman who claimed to hear strange voices and noises in the house. She also smelled a stench of death in the new apartment. It's important to note that Silvina had been diagnosed with schizophrenia at the age of 16 and had experienced her first episode. She believed she communicated with the Virgin Mary. Both sisters were convinced that their mother's death was the result of someone performing witchcraft on her. Following her passing, the sisters delved deeper into the world of spirituality, magic, and esotericism. Silvina firmly believed that the house was plagued by spirits or some malevolent force. Their father, too, suspected that something was amiss and decided to seek help from the St. Mary of the Angels parish. At the parish, a priest advised them to purify the house using blessed water and to pray extensively. He also recommended visiting the alchemical center Transmute, a sect-like organization led by Sergio Echeverria. The center gained popularity due to the participation of some notable personalities in their courses. They sold various items, including carpets allegedly made from pieces of heaven and pens with bewitched gnome heads. The purifying equipment they offered consisted of a paste to be applied all over the affected individuals' bodies, as well as an incense to be burned for 9 consecutive days at the same time. If a day was missed, one had to start from scratch and purchase the equipment again. Silvina shared all this information with her father and sister, and they began to engage in these rituals. Their fear of the supposed spirits residing in the house grew to the point where they slept together in the same room. For 20 days, the three of them used the purifying paste without missing a day. However, according to Gabriela's statements, something went wrong. Silvina stopped eating and sleeping. The situation took a turn for the worse. They covered the windows with black bags, convinced that someone had cursed them. Immersed in their rituals, the sisters believed they saw the face of something sinister in a mirror, prompting them to break all the mirrors in the apartment. On March 26, 2000, the two sisters approached the apartment owner to inquire about any deaths that had occurred there. He assured them that no deaths had occurred and that only a glass polishing workshop had been present. Still, they remained skeptical and informed him about their visit to the priest, who advised them to pray. The next day, they continued with their purification rituals, reading the same psalm from the Bible and consuming a sacred purifying potion. 2 consecutive nights, they performed the rituals, and afterward, all three vomited blood. It was later revealed that the purifying potion was nothing more than floor cleaning fluid. That day, Juan Carlos broke another mirror, and according to the sisters, they began to turn red and vomit blood. Silvina thought she knew what had happened. Her father was possessed, and the ritual escalated to another level. Screams began to be heard from the neighboring houses. Silvina was cutting off pieces of skin from her father for several hours. She said she did it to remove the bad so that her father, who was beneath those layers of evil, could be released. She also stated that she had seen a ball inside her father, as if he had a doll inside. After so many noises and shouts, the neighbors called the police. Police found Silvina stabbing her father. The scene was grotesque and surreal. Both Silvina and her sister and their father were naked, above a huge pool of blood. Juan Carlos's body was surrounded by books about black magic, candles, a Bible, figures of saints, and pieces of glass. Next to him, his two daughters had a completely lost look, as if they were in a trance. When they arrested Silvina and Gabriella, they wouldn't stop screaming about Satan. They also said that their father was going to be reborn, and he was going to be a good man again. He had 150 stab wounds. While the police inspected the house, some officers could be seen holding rosaries in their hands. All the mirrors in the house were broken. The bathroom was full of vomit and fecal matter. Silvina said that a demon wanted to possess her and sexually subjugate her. She also mentioned that her father gave himself up like a lamb. According to experts, most of the injuries that Juan Carlos had were made while he was still alive and standing. On his torso, there were writings made with knives and some esoteric symbols. He was missing part of the scalp and right ear. In addition, there were signs of bites on his face. The cause of death was determined to be multiple stab wounds to the head and neck. In his autopsy, it was determined that Juan Carlos possibly did not resist and gave consent during the homicide. Everything seemed to indicate that Juan Carlos was also influenced by the whole situation and that he was induced by delirium, which led him to literally hand over his body to his daughters for the ritual. Both sisters had psychological evaluations and psychiatric examinations. They stayed in the public eye for a while. Silvina sang religious songs and claimed that Satan moved from her father's body onto her sister. She had to be restrained and medicated several times due to seizures with mystical delirium and accusing other people around her of being possessed. She insisted that both the deaths of her father and her mother were the fault of evil spirits. She pleaded for an exorcist for herself and her sister. Both sisters ended up detained in a psychiatric ward, isolated from each other. It was determined that Gabriella had not directly participated in the murder, but had been influenced by the situation. The two sisters were declared mentally unfit to stand trial, as it was considered that neither of them could understand the criminal nature of their actions. It was determined that Silvina was the main perpetrator, and Gabriella was dismissed from the case. Gabriella left the hospital after 6 months and even gave some interviews to the media. Silvina was eventually discharged and attempted to resume her studies at the College of Economic Sciences. This is the last information available about her today. Both sisters are now free and trying to reintegrate into society. It is important to understand that in this case, there is no mystery or paranormal phenomenon. This case represents something much more serious. The Vazquez family's case is a tragic example of a recurring pattern throughout history. It involves an individual who is vulnerable or suffering from a mental condition. The combination of these factors can have devastating consequences. Would you feel safe around these sisters? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Till next time.